Once you make a claim, oh, that's mine or whatever, it's game on. Okay. So let's go through this. So this is where you start unlearning a department. Okay. So you start circling these words and start unlearning it by going back to the dictionary, and then you go back to the scripture, and the department is like a divisional, something that's dividing from the whole, right? Once you see there's man's world is divided, and when you ask the proper question, you're becoming back to whole. Okay, the mind, you're no longer becoming divided in the mind. Okay, you start to see how to become whole. And how do you do that? Is by it's like the prodigal son. It's like going back into the system, and by studying the system, which what we're doing right this moment, which is very hard to see, is you're studying them. And once you start studying them, you're doing what they're doing to you, and they study you. Okay, and that's why they glean bank accounts, they control you, and so forth, because they're your owners. Okay, once you believe you're an owner, they're your mummy and daddy. They own everything. They own you, pretty much your soul, and you don't even know it. And that's pretty much so. So these wooden idols are pretty much, you got to look at them from a wooden idol. So, and I don't know if you guys are recording this call, but it might be a good idea if you are, because it might help you to sort of, because this stuff, it may take a while to seep in, yeah?
Yeah. Let's see here real quick.
So then you need to look at, okay, what's underneath that? Okay, so you need to look at... Recording in progress. Yeah, good. That's good. So you guys... listen to the recording, which is going to help you. So what we're looking at, a department is a division, and anything in man's world is divided. Does that make sense? Once you take from the Almighty Possessor, you're basically dividing yourself from your Maker. So you've left the Almighty, you've left the Father, and you've gone off on your own undertaking. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And now you're subject to all of man's rules and obligations. Okay? And so that's the rude awakening is when you discover that you're not your own. Anyone ever heard that before?
In a few songs. For sure.
There you go. So in a few songs, yeah, good. So the ear is tuned in to start to see that in whose hands is the breath of all life, and you'll discover that you're either in the hands of the Maker or you're in the hands of man. And if you're in the hands of man, you at some point you'll go through the wood chipper, and that's pretty much where the world's going. Yeah. And it all comes back to these wooden idols. All right. So there you go. So you go from department. It's like a division. Once you're in division, there's a revenue you need to pay up. And next thing is notice. Okay. Yep. So if there's a dictionary there, all you got to do is go into notice. Right now, I can tell you right now, no one on the back calls would ever do what we're doing right now. Why? Because it's kind of like, who wants to do the work? That's one thing that few, if any, people want to actually do the work. You can't start asking questions if you don't do the work. Now, this is the weirdest thing. It's like if you watch The Matrix, whoever makes the first jump? No one ever does. So this is part of renewing the mind. So on the notice, to start studying it, so on the notice you look at there, it says, what is notice? Okay, go back to notice. So you type in notice. Okay, so you put in notice. Okay, so what is a notice? So it's a warning. Okay, mm-hmm. You've been warned about something. Okay, so can you see up the top there it says notice?
Yep.
A file of return?
Yep.
So a notice is a warning. Okay?
Okay.
So this is really important to start looking at what is this notice. Now, once you notice the notice, okay, you've now gone into interpretation, right? You've gone into interpretation.
Yeah.
Before there's a meeting of the minds. Before you've actually you've actually met someone. You don't actually know who this notice is from. So once you notice something, and it could be anything, and you make a claim in your mind, in the mind that you believe you own, right? Once you make a claim, right, of you think you know what this piece of paper is, you're now eating from the tree of knowledge. Okay? So once you eat from the tree of knowledge, now there's a warning, right? There's a warning now because you're in possession of property that don't belong to you. Okay? And the property is even the thoughts that are between your ears. Do you know where those thoughts come from? Anyone?
They come from nothing.
Well, maybe they come from somewhere, but can anyone pinpoint where's the location of those thoughts?
Between the ears.
Yeah, but can you pinpoint it? No one's able to actually pinpoint where exactly are these thoughts coming from. So if that's true, how can they be your thoughts? Okay,
Right.
The only problem is once you believe that they're your thoughts, right? That's where you become possessed. And once you become possessed by those thoughts start talking to you, and that's when you believe that that's real. And every word that you've been indoctrinated with, those words have an image to it. And the image is basically one is in possession of the property. And once you're in possession of this property, it's what sends all man into a mental institution. You need a psych evaluation. And that's why we live in an open air sort of asylum. It's like man has become there's a bit of an Armageddon between the ears because we haven't renewed the mind, and we go into anxiety, we go into all sorts of perilous state with the mind, yeah?
Yep.
So the notice, once you take possession of the notice, it's game on.
Claim now.
Now, because you've got to prove your claim. Yeah, so I've just got my brother here, which I'm going to introduce to you in a moment.
Okay.
So once you take possession of a notice, you're agreeing to what time and a place?
You now have the burden of proof.
Yes.
Time and place.
So time and place is the foundation of if you want to talk about law, it's the foundation of all court on this planet, and it's one of the most. It's the anomaly. It's the invisible factor, and people don't. What's this time and place? Even Batman, I don't know why, but he even goes, he's going into terminology with who's claiming I made a claim. Now that's fine, but as soon as you go into a claim or you go into any sort of terminology, you've eaten from the tree of knowledge without going into agreement. Who have you agreed to? Before you've gone into terminology, there needs to be some agreement with someone. You either got an accord with the piece of paper or you've got an accord with man. An accord is just an agreement. Yeah?
Yep.
Is that a strange kind of a concept or what?
It's not that
Now,
strange
it's a bit
because that's
What's
what
that?
I don't know how strange that is because it's just what we've been doing our whole lives. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you start interpreting a notice, basically there's a warning from the primal forces of nature. Now, I don't know how it is with you over there in the States, but basically people here in this part of the world, in Australia, if you don't deal with the wooden idol, they meaning Legion, the state, whoever they are, they now have the power or the jurisdiction to confiscate basically your life that you believe you own. Okay?
Okay.
So once you've taken the program of this is mine, this is my life, I've got rights. Now those rights need to be protected, and that means that you need to be taken away, and you basically, it's a bit like the old story, Lot's wife in the scripture, where she turned into a pillar of salt because she turned around to look at the kingdom that she was living part of, and she turned around because she was still looking, seeing herself in that place, rather than seeing what's in front of you and moving forward what's in front. And that's why once you make a claim in this part of the world, they have to proceed. She was still in possession. That's why when you make a claim, imagine when you peel a banana. Can you unpeel a banana or an onion skin?
You mean put it back on?
No. Can you put it back on?
No, you can't.
Okay, so this is how you need to see law or any of this shit. Once you make a claim, now the law applies. Okay, because you've now peeled back an onion. Try putting the onion back, or the skin back on the onion. Now that's why it now needs to proceed. And it's the same with a banana or whatever. You cannot put it back.
Yeah.
And now there's a consequence to it. And the consequence is that wooden idol is going to follow you everywhere until you start learning or unlearning the property that you've taken. And once you discover that you've been taking property from the almighty forces since a little girl or a little boy or whatever, it's a bit of a shock and awe. It's how can you're going to ask yourself, how can this world be like this? That we're all the people are basically like the pigs in the trough, which basically we live in this planet, we live on this rock, and have we even considered for a moment who is the maker of all these things? Do we even consider for half a moment, anything about the way things are? Do we consider anything that comes out of this mouth? Are we going to consider the origins of everything, which is we call it we don't necessarily, I keep away from God because God has kind of got a very loaded word. And words are all concepts. Yeah, imagine all concepts is like the word of God, is with God and always has been God. So all words funnel into one word, the word. So if you look at the 100,000 or 2 million words that man used, put it all through a funnel, and every word comes back to the word. In other words, who can interpret the word? Yeah. So once you interpret the word, you bear the burden of liability. You bear the burden of anything that comes out of that mouth. You're going to be bearing the burden. And allegedly Jesus goes, if it be the will of the Father, take this cup from me because it's unbearable. All the suffering that you see on the planet is the burden of possession. And that's all you're looking at. But the grace is far more greater than the burden that man has inflicted on himself. He's inserted this program into himself. It was offered, the stage was set. And what did he do? What did you do? He took it. He took possession of property that didn't belong to him. And it all goes back, all starts with the notices. And if you want to renew the mind, this is how you come back as a prodigal son or a prodigal daughter. You study the state. Like it may take several years. We've been studying the system, and we now live inside it's like the matrix. We're right inside the matrix. This letter is the matrix. If you want to, if this letter, if it stirs emotion into you, if there is emotion, meaning, oh, these bastards, look what they're doing to me, then you know you're in sin. It's a transgression notice. Imagine this notice is directly from the possessor of the heaven, and he's talking directly to you. And you have, if it be there is a choice, then the choice would be, what am I going to do with this this notice? Am I going to go into combat? Am I going to, defend myself? What do you believe is yours? They're going to they're taking money from your account. They're doing all this sort of stuff to you. Okay. So maybe this is the training ground and where we start. So the notice is basically an agreement. So, and everything comes back to an agreement. The notice, it comes back always to a specific time and a location. The location and time, and I'll show you that in the notice there.
Okay.
If there's a time and a place. Now, there's been no place where you've met. There's been no time that you've agreed to. But just that you've noticed this notice now verifies a time in this moment that you've now noticed this notice. Okay. So there's a time that now you notice it. Okay. And this is where the delusions start coming into. I'm becoming delusional because you've got an accord with this piece of paper. Now you've got an accord, which is an agreement with the wooden idol, and this wooden idol is now your God. It follows you everywhere. Wherever you go, it's going to be the one you will kneel down to. Choose this day who you serve. Yeah, you will serve man, and this is man's world. You will kneel before man, and man will be your master. And as horrendous as that sounds, this is what the reality is on this planet. If it's true, the beauty of this, what we're talking about, is you can go out and do something about it. You can actually, it's like the end of the Matrix. You have, it's like my brother's saying, I didn't come to change anything.
To show that there's another way to live.
But to show that there's another way to live.
Boundaries, borders.
Without any rules, boundaries, borders, and restrictions. And if that was true, would you be interested in seeing if this was a possibility? In the Matrix, the guy who was eating the meat, he said the meat is so good, his perception of it, that he wanted to stay inside the Matrix and basically be an owner. And that's fine. It's sometimes it's very hard for an owner to come out of the harlot. And the harlot is the one that's ruling the world, right? And basically got every man held in captivity. And every man and being held in captivity is subject to all the laws and all the rules of man. And on it goes. So investigate. Notice. And notice, and I'm going to show you, it says now we're going down to Legion. So Legion, if you look there, it says our records. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's where you circle our Legion. And if you want to write this down, this is important.
Okay.
Legion is basically in the scripture, and a legion is many. Legion is more than two. So legion is basically our, we, they, them. Our records indicate that you're in possession and you have not filed your North Carolina individual tax income or whatever, that tax return, right? For the year, blah, 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 indicated. Now, everything is indicated initially. Look up indication, very important.
Okay.
So all these words, our is possession, records, right? Your mummy and daddy they're the owners of you. Why? Because that's the state. The state is the owner of all man. And they're sending out these notices, but you'll never meet them. you'll never know who it is because it's all the property of the possessor. Okay? So we're dealing with an anomaly, which is basically an unknown factor that few, if any, can see. The unknown factor is the anomaly, which is like the absentee landlord. Okay,
It's the anomalies, the agreement.
The anomaly is the agreement. Seek out the agreement. Most people who are reacting to this notice,
You agree with the presumption of law.
yeah. So, do you agree with the presumption of law? Applies as soon as you notice this notice. Once you notice this notice, the notice actually stirs up an emotion. Has anyone received a notice and actually feeling that there's some kind of stirring that's going on inside the belly, inside the body?
Yes.
Can anyone actually, say that they've felt such things like that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
So yeah, how dare they do that to me, etc. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, or whatever
Yeah,
it may be.
cough,
So
you
this
know.
stirring up, this stirring that's going on is a very, very deep indication that you're in possession of property, and that is an alarm. That's an indication something inside us knows I've taken something. Even though you're angry or you're upset about something, it's showing you that you've taken property that doesn't belong to you. Okay? And that's hard to see. It's invisible. My rights, my body. You took something without asking. You took something without considering, hang on a moment, what did I do? And why am I doing it? And it's very hard to see because these programs have been encouraged for one to take at a very young age. And guess what? What happens when you discover that you inserted these programs into yourself? No one else did it. It was you who is the problem. And this is where few, if any, can come to the realisation it's inconceivable to even imagine, how can this be true? How can this be safe? In other words, I've been lied to all my life. This is a very popular statement most people love to say. I've been lied to all my life. So this is a very deep program. And the program is, without the lie, would you appreciate the truth? But at the same time, what do you know about either? So this program...
You can pass grade 1 without taking possession.
So imagine going to grade 1. How do you pass grade 1 without taking possession? That's this is the schooling. The schooling of going, when you go to school, to move from one grade to the next, you need to be schooled in taking possession of terms, in possession of words and images. A tree has an image of a word, yeah. So and as if you imagine every word. So if you go by the fundamental principle that all terms, all words are the property of the possessor. All words, even every word between your ears. So if you discover there's no enemy in this world, but yet man believes there's an enemy, and he'll go out and kill his fellow brother because he believes there's an enemy, yeah? And he'll go and nations will fight against nations, brother against brother and sister against sister, and on it goes, all because what's going on between years. And yet no one's ever met the one claiming to be your enemy. Okay, so that's the anomaly. That's the X factor. The only one who's believing that is what someone told you, and now you've taken on the program that there's evil in the world. And yet when you discover there's no such thing as, well, to some people they believe there's an evil, but yet no one's able to verify that anomaly, that anonymity. There's an there's an anonymity, which is the only thing that can perpetuate every atrocity on this planet is through and only through anonymity. Without the anonymity, basically you're then dealing with one-on-one brother and sister. Okay, and if you can deal with the anonymity, then there may be peace on earth. But because we do not know how to deal with the anonymity factor, we go into the warfare of terminology. And when you go into warfare, it's another way of being weaponized. We're weaponized for war. We're primed and ready for we're ready to go to war, and we will defend my will, the will that you believe you own, this will that we all believe that was given to us. This is the greatest offer of all time, and who didn't take it? Yeah, this is my will, and I got rights, and you know you did something to me, and now you owe me. Yeah, so there's these programs are very, very deep. They're very deep. Even programs such as I cannot be loved or cannot be trusted. They're the two deep programs that come from your parent, and then the relationships in life. This is something else to delve a lot deeper into once you come into, you know, to if there's an understanding between that, there's an agreement between you and the possessor, and that's where you basically everything that's going on in the mind, it's like you're handing it back to the maker, and considering everything that you do is you're considering, in whose hands is the breath of all life. So I go back to the notice again. You're dealing with Legion, and Legion is the harlot. Legion is basically the four horsemen that are let loose upon the world to pretty much basically through media or whatever to delude as many people in this world, and then the end will come. In a sense, it's like the end is between your ears. So the end is few, if any. It's like what's that scripture? Broad and wide is the road to broad and wide is the road to destruction, and narrow and windy or something like that is the road to everlasting life. So it's the few who on the path, who have a deep love for the Maker, for the Creator, and to start to unlearn. It's basically you do not want anything anymore from this world that man has to offer. You've realised that the possession, and I remember also when I was renewing this, I was like in the gutter throwing up every day because I was possessed. It's a sick. It's pretty sick. It's pretty full on. I was very sick, you know, and we don't even know it that we're sick, and we're the fluid within us is coming up. The poison, the sickness that makes us sick is possession, and who can bear it? If allegedly Jesus could hardly bear the cup, and the cup is knowledge, the cup is information, the cup is artificial intelligence, the cup is hearsay, the cup is the gossip, the cup is basically anything that you believe you're told is basically, hey, how did you come to these conclusions? How do you know about what you're being told? And when does the scrutiny start? When are you going to start to investigate these assumptions about what you believe you think you know? Yeah. So these notices, our records. So Legion goes, okay, so Legion, in man's world, there's a record on you. The record is you're in possession. So what you do is you need to circle out, then records indicate these are very important. The state is showing you how to speak.
Okay.
In time, you'll start realising. Now, when you see you is an offer to take possession. Once you take you, it is now yours. Can you see now? You're Carolina? Yeah? Can anyone see that? Hello?
I'm listening. I'm looking. Where are you saying that it's saying that I am Carolina?
Yeah, look at the notice. Everybody look at the notice.
Okay.
And if you can look at the first part of the notice, right? I'm looking at, can everyone see our records?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go through it. So circle our, start investigating. What's this our?
Okay.
Go into records. Every word, indicate. What's this indicate? Now that encompasses all information.
Okay.
Rather than you say, for example, you when they read out an order or something to you, you don't repeat back to them the words they're talking, because now it's contagious. It's in your mouth, and now you're the one in possession because you're copying the wolf. You're copying the agent. Once you copy them, right now you're the one holding possession. So be careful what comes out of their mouth. They're licensed to basically sort the wheat from the chaff, which is the judge's job. Their job is to basically see what you're going to take, and it's going to come out of your mouth, right, that you believe you own. So indicate, that's another good word. That is a very... So always go, what do you mean by that? Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Okay.
And you, once you take you as an offer, are you going, where are you going tonight? Yeah, listen for you. Where are you going tonight? Why? Do you need a lift? Is there somewhere you need to go? Yeah, and then have, circle have. Okay. So in the first sentence there, can everyone see have?
Yep.
It's important that everyone follows this, because if you actually go into the dictionary and you start looking at have, the origins of all words go back to the possessor. Okay? And have is basically you're in possession. Okay? It means you're in possession of the possessor's property. It's in front of us. It's right here, right in front of us. And filed, right? So we now got a record of you, your North Carolina individual income. So this is now your possession. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Indicated based on the income, right? Blah, 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 revenue pursuant. So now, did you ever used to watch the cartoons when you were a little kid? Once you made a claim, now there was the chase. So pursuant, now you've made a claim, now there's a chase. So there's pursuant of now section such and such that you're in possession. So the chase is the state's going to chase you up, and it won't stop. The state is basically they're the dogs of war, and they're there basically to do their job. Mm-hmm. Their job is and they do their job better than anyone you will ever imagine. Why? You see how efficient they are with their job. It's incredible. And if they're that efficient, why am I so inefficient why am I so inefficient in actually dealing with these offers? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Good. Great.
They're so efficient, they're going to put you before a firing squad, and you're going to volunteer for it. You're going to volunteer to basically be filled with lead. There's no one else who's volunteering for this. So once you realise that everything you do, anything you say, anything you do with this wooden idol is going to now hold you subject to all the terms and conditions of this idol. Is this all sounding a little weird?
Maybe
not for me.
Yeah, I mean it's familiar-ish for me.
Familiar-ish.
Yeah.
Okay. So keep studying the piece of paper because it's all there. So based on the income, don't worry about so much that the information obtained. Information is all about, hang on a moment, always go back to the information has always got to do with agreement. What do you know about this? Yeah? Okay, maybe there was some kind of agreement you might have had in the past, right, that you went along with it.
Yep.
And now, there was some benefits. And now what people find difficult is to see the liability side of it. So we like the benefits in life, but we didn't really want to look at what is the liability. And this is the liability side of it, where they basically, they want you to pay up. So what is this? So what have they got to say? So if you do not, so there you go. This is they give you two options here. If you have, so if you're in possession of the filed tax return, hang on, little mutley, what's going on? Hang on. So look for all the possession terms there. You've got have,
Okay.
your,
Yep.
and then there's the indication is a good one. Now, this is another one. If you believe you're in possession, can you all see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So circle that. So if you believe you have, basically the next word that follows is basically if you believe you're in possession, this is how you start reading. I'm going to read this as from it's completely different way of reading.
Okay.
It messes with people. The way I'm reading is seeing everything from an eyes of possession.
Okay.
Hang on a second. Got to let this noisy little dog out. Come here, boy. Come on, in here. Come here, in there. In. Noisy dog. So I'm going to go through this. Okay, so here we are. Just give me a moment. I just have to have a little moment there.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
I'm gonna hold on 1 second. I'm gonna pull up a different copy of that. I'm gonna pull up a screenshot of that and see if I can actually mark it up. Give me a second here.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Okay.
Because if you look at every notice is loaded with possession. And we're in possession of terms. It's right in front of us. This is not rocket science. It's actually so simple, yet it's everywhere. Okay, it's actually if you believe you are in possession, right, of this property, everything after the possessive term have is property. Okay, if you believe they're even asking you if you believe you are in possession of this property, right? You should send a copy to a return, blah, blah, blah. So now they're encouraging you, whoever they are, which is Legion, they're encouraging you to meddle, right? So that to meddle is that you should copy your return and the following address, which is sent to that address. Documentation, blah, blah, blah. It's all about information. So if you believe, now it's incredible. They're not saying you do believe, but this is, once you take possession, you're now a believer. Can everyone see that?
Yeah, I can.
So if you believe anything, and I've heard it before, I'm led to believe. Has anyone ever heard I've been led to believe?
Oh, yeah.
You hear it on Batman or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
Now, if any of those guys on the back call were studying this, you really want to ask yourself, geez, I was led to believe. You want to be careful about that, because now that you've been led to believe, guess what? Now you're liable. Now here comes the bill, right? Because you were led to believe. You've taken it now. So now you're led. Someone led you, right, to take possession of the possessor's property. Okay? And now you're required to not only take possession, but now you're required, which is on the note. Can you see see how it says you're required or you're not required? Not required or required is the same thing. Okay? So please submit copies. So now they're telling you what you need to do. All right? Now, let's go to the bottom part there. Can everyone see what I'm looking at? Failure to respond. Okay? Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay. So one thing you may always hear is answer, respond, right? These are all terms which is a very, how do you respond to this notice? Well, who told you to respond to it, right? But did you consider it? Is there a difference? It's a huge difference. It's like night and day. All right. Well, if that's true, why are they? So as soon as I respond, I now notice. I've now noticed the notice, and I'm in possession of the property. And now I'm. How do I know I'm in possession? Because I'm responding. Now circle it and go look up respond. Okay, this is just helping you to renew the mind. Respond, respond, right? Mm-hmm. And this is respond is to reply, answer, words. So this is all words to make. So when you respond to anything or anyone or any agent, right, you become the maker. You are now God. Okay? This is how simple it is. You either look at that and you go, holy shit, okay, is it real? I'm going to go out and find out, because how can this be real? How can I be the maker? I just responded. Well, now you're God. Now you're the possessor of the heaven and earth. Just by saying something, by answering something, by replying. Anything you say is an answer. Anything you say or do is a reply. Is anyone connecting these dots for a moment?
Yes.
Bloody beautiful.
Yes.
Because once you respond, you're in peril. You're in peril waters. And once you respond, right, basically you will receive. You're going to be receiving the bill, or there's going to be confiscation of either funds or money, or there'll be jail time. And this part of the world, everyone goes to jail. You basically talk out of that mouth, you go to jail. I mean, you've heard of Botany Bay and Australia is a prison island. Anyone hear about that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
On Star Trek.
Yeah, on Star Trek. It's all, mate. Look, Australia is a very beautiful country, but we've as a people, we've been unable to connect the dots. It's Possession Island. And once you take a shoestring, pretty much you believe you got rights, you're going down. And that's it. And we will compute your possession. Can you see that going further down? Mm-hmm. We will compute your possession. Can you see that down there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Failure to respond. Keep looking.
Yep.
Now, can you see Legion? We?
Yeah.
Now you go we. You bring it up to our, up the top there. We, our. Okay? This is all Legion. All right? Once you start connecting the dots there, we complete your possession based on income, blah, blah, blah. And if you possess, if you believe you're possessing it, you may have questions of information. So you're seeking out information, blah, blah, blah. So there's still a lot in that first notice that you can start the unlearning process, right?
Okay.
So here we go on to the second page, which is there's a lot in there. So what they're doing here now, they're giving you definitions, protection of privacy, examination. Now, they're actually spelling it out here for you. It's actually mind-blowing.
Okay, hold
You
on.
see nothing?
Hold on.
You can't actually ever say that I can't see it. I just didn't know. It's in plain sight, right? It's in plain sight. It is your right, okay? Because you've taken a life. Now, this is the most bizarre, conceivable concept to believe that you actually took a life. Now, what life do you believe you took? You took the life that you believe you own, and now you believe you got rights. Okay, that's now where it is your right to have information, right? Now, they're spelling it out up here on the second page of the 5.
Okay, hold on.
He says,
I'm getting it pulled up.
the second page,
Yep.
it's all there. There's so much there. It would take you several months to go through all this, and yet it would start helping you. So every time I bring up a word like your, circle it, because that's relevant and right. So you're in possession of property, right? It's all possession. It's loaded with possession through and through. So it is your right to possess information, right? This is if you start reading it like the way I read it, if I read it such a way, about your possession, history, financial assessment, and etc. Reviews kept in strict confidence, right? Because you're the mummy and daddy of this is going to now govern you. So any return information you can return concerning your tax, right? Confidential, blah, blah, don't worry about all that stuff. Violates, because you've got an agreement now with this accord, right? And who willfully, so the employee, right, which is one who identifies as an employee, the claimant, right, who willfully discloses. So now it's your will. Can you see now you've taken a life and they're showing it to you? Whose will? It's your will. You've taken it willfully. Right now, you volunteer to disclose the information that you've taken from the tree of knowledge. It's all there. This is all in the scripture. It's actually mind-blowing. It's like, how is this possible? Now, they're saying examining of your return. Why don't you examine the agreement? What agreement do you have with this document? Good. Let's examine what I've taken possession of. Your return is your property. You believe that's your property, and the department, we go back to the department, right, is the divisional. It's the division. They're dealing with the ones who have taken possession, and the department is the one that deals with now the commerce. And they will ensure that you comply and are subject, etc., blah, blah. So the department, if the department examines your return, they're going to examine your possessions. Okay? Why? Because you believe you're an owner. Right? The information, hear this, the department may ask you to provide information. There you go. They're going to ask you, you're the one who testifies against yourself. How? By verifying. You verify items on your property. This is your property. You're the owner. You are entitled, right? Are you entitled to this property? Boys and girls, think about it. It says you are entitled. Now ask the question, am I entitled to this information? Right? Who's entitled? Who's the title holder of all of this? Has anyone ever examined this? Once you examine all of this, and they're asking you to make an explanation, you explain yourself. You're testifying again. Now, whether it's a tax return or it's you going in for an interrogation with coppers or whoever, there's an alleged order against you, right? This here is spelling it out what you're doing, what to do, right? And because you're well learned, you now know what to do, which is explain yourself. So examination, they're going to get you to verify your possessions, and they're going to examine you. Now, what we're doing is we're examining them. Once you examine Legion, can you see what they do? They're spelling it out what they do to you. It's in front of us.
Yep.
It says you are entitled. Now, are you a believer? Do you believe that you are entitled? Because now that you believe you're entitled, guess what? You're the title holder. You're the king of the Jews.
Oh.
The king of the Jews is you're the king of the owner. Okay? Are you as king? Are you asking, or are you saying that you're a king? Once you say you're a king, there's only one king, the possessor of the heaven and earth. There's only one thing you can do, is be as king, asking. And if you go and take, it's a criminal offence now. How can it be criminal? Well, why don't you go under protection of privacy there? And everybody keep following me. The return information employees, once you violate this confidentiality, doesn't matter all this bullshit, right? But it's a criminal prosecution, right? Now, for you to anything you say, they're spelling it out that what you say is criminal, and you will be prosecuted, right? And possible fines. As an employee, as a claimant who willfully discloses, so you're volunteering, you're willfully disclosing tax information is also subject to dismissal. So also subject to examination. So anything you say or do which is you're providing information, if you believe that you're the title holder of that information, you're now subject to everything. And basically you're a criminal. You've taken, once you take possession of the possessor's property, have you ever considered yourself to be a criminal? Has anyone ever thought, I'm a criminal? Man, how do you feel about that?
No.
Does it sit well with you all?
No, not really.
No. Well, imagine if you could, if you start looking at who's the problem, at least you can start by looking at, holy shit, I am a criminal. And then you can start with that and go, well, okay, I'm a criminal. Okay. Well, how did I become a criminal? Oh, well, actually, maybe they're spelling it out right here and now by examining exactly how the state operates. They're showing you who wants to go back into the department and become whole from these divisions. Yeah, and it's the judge that actually helps you become whole. Who listens to the judge? Few, if any. It's only the judge is going to show you how to come back to the possessor of the heaven and earth, how to become whole, where you're no longer fragmented and divided, that you don't have to go through these divisional departments and so forth, right? So these notices are spelling it out how the state is operating. And it only operates because man have fallen short. Man, meaning woman, are criminals. We're all criminals. Why? Now we're subject to all the discourses and the rules, etc. Why? I can't believe it. It's actually spelling out willfully. It's your will. Let thy will be done on earth. Who is thy will? Oh, is that the possessor's will? Well, why do I think it's my will? Am I going to ask the possessor about, why is it my property? How did I become possessed and full of demons? Right? Because is that what we're dealing with? It's a strange concept, but yet it's all in front of us. Yeah. It's right in front of us, and we verify through the program. We verify the program we've taken, and that program. That's why once you've taken a program, the sap will be extracted from the mouth, because that program, it don't belong to you. It's not your program. Yeah? You believe you're the title holder. You are, and they're saying here, you are entitled to a fair examination. Yeah. It's fair to lock you up. It's fair to confiscate your property. It's fair. Why? Why is it fair? Because you've been a criminal, right? And you need to be charged and prosecuted. Okay? Think about what happened if you've ever watched any World War II. Are you a Jew? Yeah, come with me. You're going in the gas chamber. A Jew is an owner, like Karl Marx, right? You've been educated. The first people who went into the holes and the gas were the ones who believed they knew shit. If you believe you know stuff and you notice the notice, you go into the gas chamber. You're going to be put in the hole. And the system's going to gather you up like sand and throw you into a fire. How does that sound? Sounds a little scary, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds biblical, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
For sure.
It's pretty full on, but yet it's right in front of us. Now, what arsehole would want to bloody well investigate this shit? And the state is showing us. But who wants to pay attention? Who wants to actually unfuck themselves and go, what the fuck have I been doing all my life? And what the fuck is going on here? It's in front of us. What is in this document is all in I call it the book of possession, the scripture, the Bible, whatever you want to call it. And we don't even use God much because there's this bastardization of, look, they're all concepts. What do you know about God? Yeah? Who can verify God and who can even deny that there's such a thing? Right? No one. You can't, who can do either? Mm-mm. So that's why it's so important that every document that you receive from the state, you need to see it as that you've received the love letter. And the love letter is basically you're either going to hell, which is between the ears, or there might be some hope for you. There might be the possibility of living a peaceful way in this world. I can't explain to you what it's like to live here, this part of the world, where there's no fear of man. And most people that I know, or in fact, so many people that I see, they're very scared of man. And once you realise you want to be, if you're scared of man, you really want to be really scared of the maker of man. If you're scared of man, because
The inhabitants of the earth.
yeah, it's a rude awakening. It's a rude awakening if you have this, if that fear of man is inside you, the work that's showing you.
That's what we're doing, Danny. We're going into the system, which is the same thing that the agents do.
So we're going into the system.
We stick right next to the judge or the secretary. Yeah, so it's kind of like when the CIA agent goes, I can neither confirm nor deny without the consent of the secretary.
Now, did you hear that? Good.
Yeah, and we're doing the same thing.
We're doing the same thing. Neither can I confirm nor deny anything. Now, that's why this document, it's a very simple question. They've pretty much got probably several 100,000 words in this 5-page document. I mean, really, who's counting, right? But there's only one question that deals with this whole thing. Is the note from someone. Now, you might go, how can that be possible? Because you're looking for agreement. You're looking for the lowest common denominator. And Batman, unfortunately, he thinks who's claiming I made a claim is the lowest common denominator. Well, if you're bringing up terminology, is it low enough? We've done this for a long time in this part. We've done the Batman stuff, and then I've even gone to jail, and we've been playing with this. I would have gone to jail for 16 years, but if I didn't deal with possession, what do you mean by have? What do you mean by got? What do you mean by your? What do you mean by my? What do you mean by give? What do you mean by take? If you don't deal with possession, you're going through a wood chipper. That's it. That's coming out as blood and bone. The fertilizer for the earth. And that's I don't know if you're not able to, if one is not able to deal with the agent who turns up at the door, you will be examined. Right? And look at this.
Bugs Bunny used to do it.
Bugs Bunny used to do it. What's up, Doc? Now look at this. Go back to the page. Go back to the page where it says representation. Now go back to it. Go back to the second page.
Yep.
Examine your. There's so much there, boys and girls. I don't know. I haven't got like 20 hours or whatever at this very moment to go through it.
I know.
But the gold in here is astronomical. The state is showing it. So during any examination or conference, can you see the bottom line there, boys and girls? Conference is a meeting of the minds. Conference is where and when, right? Conference is agreement. Conference is where there are two in the midst, there I am. Do you have a conference or an accord with this document? This is a conference to consider. Do you consider or do you respond or do you go back to answering? Did we discuss that before?
No.
No.
Well, we went back before. We talked about responding.
Yeah.
Did we talk about respond and answer? Yeah.
We talked about respond, but not answer.
So you
not
want
in
to ask
depth.
yourself, do I respond or answer or do I go into consideration? Is there a big difference?
Okay.
Because conference is all about consideration. How do you operate without picking a side? Okay? So you start to examine exactly what the state is sending you. Okay, you are entitled, right? Once you start seeing you are entitled, that means you ever heard of that? Down here, there was an article that says the ones who believe the generation of the entitled, your days are numbered. Your days are up. In other words, you're going to the crunch time's coming. So if you believe that you're entitled, there's great peril ahead. Yeah? So there's so much in this. This is all scripture. There you go. Go back to representation. There you go. Look at this. Go down to the fifth. It says consult with your authorised representative. Can you see?
Yes.
Once you consult with your authorised representative, you're consulting with the beast. You're consulting with the harlot. Who are you to consult with this? Come out of thy harlot, right? Could you be risking it when you contact them? But if you're asking the question, what's to risk? Penalties now apply. Okay, the bylaws. It's all there. You have the right because you're in possession, and the penalties are there, right? Whether they're waived or they're not. Okay. I won't go through it all, but there you go. Go across the page there. It says contested tax case.
Yep.
Now, as an owner, right, you disagree. You either agree or you disagree. Now you pick a side. Can you see? Once you pick a side,
Yeah.
once you pick a side, you go into a contest.
Yep.
Right now you've denied. You've denied one, so you become a combatant. So now you're weaponised for war. Okay, because you believe you got rights, you go on a war. Okay, and if you disagree, well, they're showing seek further judicial review of your possessions, right? And then there's got collections under here. This is all the precision, the art of warfare in this document is so profound. Who is going to bother looking at it? Who is going to bother breaking this down in such a way that one would break down in such a way where you're renewing the mind. Now look at this. Go up further where it says when the department. Okay, can you go up further? It says, where am I? See where it says final determination after department review?
Yeah.
Okay, now go up to the next paragraph. It says when the department and you agree. Can you see that?
Yep.
Now that is huge. They're letting the cat out of the bag. Everything's here, boys and girls. Agreement. Now you agree with Legion, right? Which is you're having intercourse now with the anomaly. the agent. You're being possessed now by a force that you don't know who you're dealing with. Okay? You're agreeing to it by taking possession. Once you agree, follow me. You're coming now to the gallows, and the rope is going to go around the head because now we've got agreement. Can you see any of this, boys and girls?
Sure.
I tell you what, it's all
Yes.
here.
Yes.
Yes.
It's actually, when you read this more and more and deeper, it's actually quite the shock and awe of this, and yet it's spelled out here. It's actually mind-blowing. It's actually mind-blowing. And yet agreement and conference and agree is all there. It's all there. You're looking for agreement. And when you deal with this offer, you're actually dealing with by asking, is it from someone? You're asking, hang on, who are you dealing with? Are you dealing with the demon that you've taken possession all this life? The beast who you're feeding? And you seek out more information, more knowledge? Are you drunk on the harlot, which is the tree of knowledge? Are we drunk of this information that we've taken from the possessor? Because this is all here. Now we're going to a contest. Now we need to collect you and gather you up like sand and throw you into the furnace. I mean, hey, who's the problem, right? It's all there. I mean, I see so much here already. It's actually mind-blowing. I'm actually blown.
You're mind blown? Okay.
It's mind-blowing because they're spelling it out. It's right in front of us. I could go through this with you boys and girls like at least 6 months. There's so much on these documents. We'll go up to the third page. You must take action within 30 days. So there you go. You must take possession. That's it. It's all possession. File your possession. This is all possession. You will be billed. Why? It's your possession. To be accepted is to take. Right? Once you take, it now will be accepted. Okay? This is the program. Right? Do you want to know the matrix? Welcome to the matrix. Right? If you believe, once you believe, you are now public enemy number one. Who's the problem again? Not required or required. You're taking possession. Every angle you go for is you're either one or the other. Not required or required. All responses. See that? There you go, all responses. Did we talk about responses before? And they put it in a box. Responses. Answer. If you answer, anything you say will do. You're answering, you're responding, right? You're testifying against yourself. I'm just starting to repeat myself now. Is anyone starting to catch on?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Your daytime phone number, your possession. Whenever you hear your, are you going to renew the mind and ask yourself, what do you mean by your? The problem with asking the possessive questions of what do you mean by your, what do you mean by have, what happens when you ask this question? That's why few, if any, ever want to ask these questions, and yet they're so powerful and profound. Who's going to imagine it or conceive it? It's a reduction of intelligence. You ask anyone that you know, excuse me, would you like a reduction of intelligence? They're going to look at you like, what kind of fucking fruitcake are you?
Right.
Who wants to be reduced in information? I'm yet to find anyone who wants to be a dumbass and a complete, like, what the fuck do I know? Everyone who isn't competing as to who thinks they fucking know something. There's always someone, once you believe you know something, it's going to propel you to override someone. So you're never, ever really listening. You're just always in constant warfare. Welcome to Planet War. This is the planet of warfare, right? Either if you've come to that point within yourself where you've had enough of being at war, well, start studying the system.
Let's find out if you're a contestant.
Let's find out if you're a contestant. Now, the options, Man's Word will always give you two options, right? Pay by mail or online, do this, or if you do not respond in 30 days, I'm on the last page, date of the notice, explain. See how there's an explanation?
Hold on, I'm
Start
pulling it
connecting the dots.
Hold on.
What's another word for explanation? Stay. What's another word for stay? Responding. What's another word for responding? Answering. Can you see all these words they're speaking about?
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're all saying the same thing. Who are you to explain yourself? Yeah? Where am I looking now? So once you take possession of this notice, can you see how this now it's loaded? It's a loaded gun. Once you take the notice, you've entered into the rabbit warren. This is Hotel California. Can you see you can enter, but who can leave it? Who can leave it? Once you enter Hotel California, you just can't kill the beast. Yeah?
That's right.
Yep.
So don't enter is the message.
Well, why meddle? Once you enter, you're meddling in the affairs that don't concern you. Once you enter, what's to enter? It's to consider. Consider the documents. Consider the wooden idols of man. And if I told you we were dealing with lawyers, guns, money, and we're dealing with the wooden idol, and if I said to you that they keep away from you like a plague, and in the past I would send the letters back. They would ring me up, and then I would ask, "Do you agree with that?" And they go, "Yes, I certainly do."
The COVID vaccination.
They couldn't even fulfil the COVID vaccinations. Anything the government is offering, they couldn't even proceed or move forward based on the question, do you agree with that? And that's settle any claim, agree with thine adversary quickly. How do you do that? It's a very simple question. Do you agree with that? And they're going to nod their head and they're going to go, yes, I agree with that. And then you're going to go, is that agreement between you and me signed on a piece of paper before the judge? Guess what?
Then if they go no, then you go, well, you do what Jesus said, which, well, neither shall I answer what you want.
Yeah, but that won't actually happen in a lot of ways, because once you ask the question, do you agree, it's actually the most logical question you can ask, but it's because once you take possession, we only know illogical. We don't know a proper way of doing business and a proper way of doing things. Down here, a lot of the prosecution, they conduct themselves. You can't go to war without terms of engagement. You first need to come up and say, hey, motherfucker, you did this. Oh, fuck off. I didn't do that. Now you've got terms. Now you can go and bomb each other. It's that simple. Down here, it's like you can just go, hey, you, what do you want? Or by whenever you answer to you, or you've got a chip on your shoulder with you, now you're the possessor. Now you go to war, and now you verify warfare through possession, which is now yours. Yeah. Once you answer, and how many times in that document, and I've only given a bit of a snapshot today because the head will explode. You're probably thinking, what the fuck?
No.
He's just gone through a little little example on those papers, and it's just, if it opens the eyes just a glimpse, you're a million light years in front of the bags that are over the heads of people, and if you can start to see what's in front, don't worry about. Look, even if you did pay these bills for the next 6 to 12 months because you're just not ready, to deal with this. This is what we did. Go on a payment plan. Do it just for the time being until you sort yourself out, until you sort the affairs out between your ears, and then you go in and start to ask the proper question. And once the proper question starts to come out, it will ripple. It says in the scripture they won't destroy a city, which is a country, if there's one if there's one alive, if there's one live, if there's only one who is alive in the city, it cannot be destroyed, because the primal forces will not allow the city or man to crumble, because there's one in the city.
So one who's not laying blame.
One who is not laying blame. It's the blameless one. And if you can start focusing on, hang on, am I in blame? You start to speak from the am I, rather than I am or I am not, which is a contest. You're going into am I. Okay? When you say I am, you're going into you're speaking on behalf of the primal forces. I am is basically I am and the Father are one. And if that's true, what the hell am I doing in possession of the properties, the Father's property? Come down to the station and make a statement. What do you think it starts with, boys and girls?
Come down to the state that was certainly an invitation.
Come down to the station and make a statement.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would be self-incriminating.
Yes, so the self-incriminating starts with I am. Mm-hmm. Now, can you see it's self-incriminating? Because whenever you walk around out there in the big wide world and you're going, I am, what do you think you're transmitting? And when the time comes where they put cuffs on you and they're about to throw you into the divvy van and line you up, who knows what, to the firing line, right? It's because you spoke with the I am. And that's identification. You identify as a Jew, it's identification. I and the Father, identity is I. Is the property. The identification is I and the Father are one. If you identify as this, and this, amongst brothers and sisters, yes, talk as you will amongst your brother and your sister. But as soon as an agent comes to you, and as soon as you speak a word, you will be taken down and you will disappear and no one will know. And this is the world that we're living in. And if you think it's bullshit, go out and start practicing making claims. It's probably the best and the quickest way to start learning how the world works. It ain't your world, it ain't your property, and it ain't your thoughts. If you believe it, well, keep going down the way and the path that you're on, and be as outlandish as possible in making as many claims. I've got rights. You think you know shit, whatever. Try it out. It's actually probably not saying you shouldn't do it. It's just go out and test it. That's the beauty of this bullshit we're talking about, is unless you're out there living it, doing it, you're never really going to see the depth, the breadth, the forces. I'm not joking. I can't explain it to you, boys. Just asking an officer, what do you mean by your? It turns all their information to zero. Just like that. What? How? How is that possible? Mate, I'm going to keep doing it.
Right.
If it's working.
Right.
It's working. I go travelling, I go through customs. What's in your bag? I don't talk about the bag. You think I give a fuck for the bag? No. I go and talk about, what do you mean by your? Get this guy out of here. They don't want to deal with this retard. A reduction of intelligence. He's got a reduction of intelligence. He's someone who's asking the possessive terms is coming from the reduction of intelligence. Intelligence is a man who likes to reason, a man who likes to think that he's, you know, he like to think he knows something. He knows something, that he's a somebody. Yeah? If you think you are a somebody, well, maybe you'll be proven otherwise at some point. Yeah. Anyway, that notice, Lee, is if I had such an opinion,
Yeah.
if there was such an opinion, it's actually mind blowing how the state is spelling it out for you, word for word, pretty much, and how the system operates. It's all there. It's all there.